Today I am going to tell you 5 stocks you should buy in March. Those are Qualcomm, Amazon, Fedex, Salesforce and Nvidia. These stocks declined excessively during the adjustment period for growth stocks in early March, despite unchanged or rising company performance and target price. Let's go one by one. The first one is Qualcomm. As you see, average target prices keep going on, but actual stock price has declined recently. This stock is unlikely to drop sharply in the company's performance. If so, the stock price that fell like that is likely to recover sooner or later. April is the season for each company's performance announcement. If Qualcomm's earnings remain the status quo or get better, this decline is likely to recover soon. That's why it would be a good idea to buy this Qualcomm stock before the end of March. Look at this table. The Dow rose more than 4% last week. The S&P 500 is up 2.6% and the Nasdaq is up 3.10%. By YTD, Dow and S&P rose 7% and 5% respectively, and Nasdaq is recovering a lot from the adjusted decline in early March. Of course, concerns about the sharp inflation that caused the recent corrections have not completely disappeared. The 10-year Treasury yield is at 1.63% and the oil price has risen more than 35% at 35% YTD. However, the Fed's announcement that this increase in the 10-year Treasury yield rate is not enough to cause the Fed to raise interest rates, and that it is not yet inflation seems to be increasingly convincing investors. Also, oil prices, which had risen sharply, are showing a slight settling over the past week. The market may be affected by the next week's Fed meetings and announcements. First of all, the current economic situation in the U.S. is in good shape, and the inflation that comes with this economic upturn has a positive effect on the stock market. Unless there is a big change in this situation, the 5 stocks I introduced today are likely to recover from the recent decline and rise after the next month's earnings release. The second stock is Amazon. Amazon has been running sideways for more than half a year. But look at the average target price. This is going up steadily. This means that Amazon's company performance continues to rise. This stock is also likely to rise towards the average target price after the April earnings announcement. Fedex is also one of the beneficiaries of COVID-19. Last year, due to the influence of the pandemic, online transactions increased, and the stock price rose a lot. However, it has not risen properly after falling since last November. As you can see, the average target price hasn't declined, and if the company's earnings announcement in April doesn't give us much disappointment, this decline is likely to recover after April. Salesforce is number 1 in CRM. Since August of last year, the stock price has continued to decline. The price, which had risen more than 20% after being incorporated into the Dow, has fallen to its previous level. However, the average target price has not declined and remains at the 275 level. The company's performance is also showing a solid trend, and there would be no big change in April. Now, this Salesforce stock is likely to stop trending down and change the trend with an uptrend. The last stock of today is Nvidia. Likewise, this stock has been moving sideways since August last year. And in the recent adjustment phase for growth stocks, it fell sharply. However, the average target price has recently been raised further. This is because the company's earnings outlook is good. If this expectation is met when the April results are announced, it is highly likely that Nvidia will also make up for the recent decline and turn to an uptrend. For today's content, I referred to the content of the Mijumi channel on YouTube. The host of this channel, Mr. Zhang, showed Goldman Sachs' 10-year U.S. Treasury yield rate outlook. He said this modest rise is not at all burdensome in terms of the U.S. economic upturn. He said the performances of U.S. companies are expected to continue to rise. He also said there is no need to worry about the gentle inflation that comes with it. I hope that this analysis will help you invest in your stock. Make a good investment and make a lot of profit. Thank you.